How's it going, everybody? Welcome to General Hospital Envy, my GH After Show. Let's just jump right into it. Apparently, Nelle's body has been found, and Chase's favorite line of the week is, "There's been a positive ID," but I'm sitting there thinking, who the hell ID'd her? Julian didn't, Sunny, Carly, and Jason didn't, Michael and Willow didn't. She doesn't have any family to ID her, so who did it? The weirdest thing is that Chase was supposed to go to the morgue to see the body, and then he didn't, and there was no explanation as to why. And I'm sorry, but I'm not going to say ding dong until I see that that witch is dead. And you know what? Find me a loyal viewer who doesn't think that Carly would say the exact same thing I just did. You know that Carly would not accept that Nelle was dead unless she's seen the body for herself, so it's weird that she's acting out of character and just accepting it as the truth. This is just another example of a character acting out of character just to prolong a story even longer and keep it in limbo until the inevitable happens where Nelle will definitely come back alive again. On the bright side, Carly did tell Sunny and Jason exactly what happened that night, so at least that's not hanging over Carly's head anymore. Let's talk about the once happy quad, Sasha, Michael, Chase, and Willow. Now, Chase has begun his quirky living situation with Brooklyn, where Brooklyn expects to be waited on hand and foot by him, and he's already asking her when she's leaving, in a nice way because he's Chase. But at least Chase is managing to build a bridge between Ned, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Like I mentioned before, Chase goes to GH to find Nelle in the morgue, which quickly turned into looking for more information like a day later. But anyway, he sees Michael and Willow and he tells them the news. Sasha is there as well, and Sasha had a really awkward moment where she overheard that Mike died and she went in for a hug on Michael, and Willow kind of checked her for it in a nice way because she's Willow. Willow basically reassured Sasha that Michael was not grieving alone. He had both of his families and he had Willow as well. And then Willow casually mentioned that Michael is setting up for her to adopt Wiley as well. Sasha of course tried to act happy, but we all know that Sasha is a mess. Not only is she getting drugs from random people in the industry, but she is now purchasing them on her own. Yikes. I'm telling ya, Sasha might be the next victim of Cyrus's drugs. Michael was actually looking for Epiphany because it's almost time for Wiley's heart surgery again, and Elizabeth informs him of the changes that Cyrus has made to the hospital and suggests that he go to Mercy instead. Let's talk about Cyrus for a second. Lulu was at the Metro Court having herself a drink, and Cyrus waltzes in and offers to pay the bill, but Lulu stands her ground. But Cyrus wants Lulu to personally give her mother a message. I do not get what his obsession is with Laura. And speaking of Laura, where the hell is Jeannie Francis? Is she on vacation? Because we haven't seen her since like when GH first came back. And I'm pretty sure that those scenes were probably filmed before the lockdown. So where is Jeannie? Anyway, Lulu is determined to prove that Cyrus is not on the up and up, and she's cooking up a plan to bring national attention to the man. She wants to bring in some big time reporters to tell a new story on Cyrus or no. Calling Jackie Templeton. I'm pretty sure this is a good time for you to come back right now. That may or may not be a spoiler, but I guarantee you that it won't be Demi Moore playing her. Here's hoping Laura is in Washington coming up with her own plan to take down Cyrus Renaud, because I don't have much faith in Lulu, and I have just as little faith in Jordan, to be honest. Speaking of Jordan, she and Curtis had a reunion with Stella, which was warm until it wasn't. Stella asked if there was any news on TJ's kidnapping, if there was any leads. Jordan said that she couldn't comment on an ongoing investigation, and Stella was like, this investigation is going to take forever then. And Curtis like blew up on her and stormed out, and even Jordan was like, huh? Stella wasn't even really coming for Jordan. She was just worried for TJ. Like, it was weird. And Curtis did come back and apologize, but seriously, it was so left field. Later on, Stella reunites with TJ and Molly in front of Kelly's, and I actually really loved those scenes. Molly went in to get their orders, and she had this heart-to-heart with TJ, and this is the first time that we got to see for sure that TJ is really struggling with what happened to him. He was getting choked up and emotional, and I was getting emotional watching it. But it was really nice to see because I feel like we haven't really gotten a point of view from TJ this whole time. It's been all about Molly and Brando's affair and, you know, how Molly's dealing with the guilt of that. And speaking of that, afterwards, TJ went to make a phone call and she and Stella had a heart-to-heart. And while Molly didn't admit to anything, Stella could see that it was killing Molly that she at least lost faith in TJ. I appreciate that Stella really picked up on that. Molly was feeling sad because TJ, from what she saw, was ghosting her, and she really lost faith in him, and that's what ended up getting her to do you know what. And Lord help Molly if Stella finds out that Molly slept with someone. Although, I guess maybe under the circumstances, maybe she'd be, like, not okay with it, but, like, understanding at least. I don't know. We've seen what happens when Stella gets angry. Speaking of Brando, he got some weird scenes this week, but before we get into that, we gotta take things back a little bit with Sam and Maxie. Maxie and Sam were at the Metro Court, and Maxie confronted Sam on why she hasn't congratulated her on the baby with Peter. Why do you think, Maxie? Like, I'm just, like, baffled by this. Especially given those weird Brando scenes that I'm about to talk to you guys about. Now, Sam goes to Brando's garage to check on him, to see if he's okay, to see if the garage is okay. And Maxie comes in soon after and is mad because it's been days since she put Peter's car in that garage. But Sam informs her that Brando was attacked and that this is his first day back. And Maxie is confused by Sam giving him the stamp of approval because she's aware that Brando came in out of nowhere, an instant relative that saved Carly's life, and she was classic Maxie. She was suspicious by nature. She was giving him the third degree. She was, you know, getting all up in his business, questioning him about his kid, and even flirting with him. I was like, yo, this is Maxie from 2007. This is fantastic. If only they would utilize this version of Maxie with Peter so that she doesn't look like an idiot all the time. I was so happy because honestly, that is the Maxie that I know and love. That is the Maxie that I grew up watching. And that Maxie has been missing for quite a few years now, and I was really happy about it. But, you know, with Peter, who is like a walking cause of speculation, she's got her eyes glued shut. Like, let Maxie be smart all the time. Alright, now let's discuss the teen scene for a little bit. Things are a little awkward. The four of them are still not sharing scenes, but they are still having scenes separately and together and apart. It's really weird. I think there must be something going on behind the scenes that they don't want all four kids in the room at the same time. Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, Dev goes to Brando for girl advice on Joss. He says that he likes her and that she used to like him. And we know that Trina used to like Dev, and we know that Cameron seems to like Trina and Jocelyn, and this is just going to be one big mess because no one is choosing anyone in particular. I mean, one minute Cameron was about to ask Trina to, you know, go on a date together for homecoming instead of the four of them going as friends, and then the next minute he's almost kissing Jocelyn and really into it. Like, this is just a disaster waiting to happen. They are going to implode that, or explode that group of friends, like they did Chase, Willow, Michael, and Sasha. It's just the young teen version. I'm not here for this. I love the four of them together, and this is just gonna get messy. It's gonna get messy. My question to you guys is, who do you ship? Personally, I like Dev with Jocelyn, and I like Cameron with Trina. I am here for those couples, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's quickly talk about Alexis. Now, as I mentioned last week, Alexis has osteoporosis, and while they gave that story some attention, it was interrupted by Neil's memorial. Before we get into that, Cyrus confirmed with one of his men that Neil died from one of his products. So it's interesting because I feel, or I hope at least, that there is some foul play when it comes to Neil, but I really don't think that Cyrus had anything to do with it. Now, going back to Neil's memorial, Alexis was taken there by Valentine, who was giving her a listening ear earlier, so that's why he escorted her there. Alexis was hoping for some closure, but what she got was Neil's brother getting in her face and blaming her for Neil's death. He basically stated that Neil's life was falling apart because of her, because he lost his job because of her, and there was all this back and forth between them, and Alexis was being cold, and he just couldn't take the pressure, so that's why he was using drugs. Alexis goes off crying, and Val thinks it's a great idea to take her to a bar in close proximity to vodka. Well done, Val. Well done. Now let's talk about Ned. He and Brooklyn had some leeway this week when he pays her a visit at Chase's apartment. While he's there, he gets a phone call from Monte Carlo saying that Olivia had left her cell phone there in the hotel, and then later he finds out that there is a bill for the honeymoon suite there, and of course his mind goes reeling. Now, from Ned's point of view, Olivia hasn't tried to call him, and he's always been a little bit jealous of Olivia and Robert's friendship, but Brooklyn confesses that there was a message on his phone from Olivia that she deleted, and tries to reassure him that Olivia is a good person and she's smart, she wouldn't do this to Ned's marriage, and that she was trying to reach him probably to tell him exactly what was going on so that he shouldn't worry about it. Sadly, Ned continues to worry about it, and he goes to the bar, or the floating rib where Alexis and Valentine were, to get drunk, and he decides to confront Valentine outside and gives him the old 1-2, and I lived for it. Well done, Ned. I bow down to you. Now, as for Olivia, Ethan, and Robert, they're on a plane back to Port Charles, but don't get too excited because apparently the second they arrive, Ethan is planning to take another plane elsewhere. I'm like, why? Like, you're not even gonna say hi to your sister at least? Or how about Christina? You want to give her some comfort for the fact that she's lost her grandfather? Not that we've seen her, but like, honestly, I'm so mad. I'm so mad. I know that Nathan Parsons is like a big primetime star now, but I wish they would have just given us a little bit of Athena and a little bit of Nathan or Ethan and Lulu. I just miss Ethan being on GH. He's such a great character. But anyway, Ethan and Robert did have their little guide talk about Olivia. He was curious about what their relationship was. Robert reassures him that they are just good friends and that she helped him with a case a few years ago. I think that was the one with Faison when she was still psychic. And also that he was helping her out with seeing Dante. Speaking of Dante, the WSB gave him a little bit of a test this week. The doctor comes in saying that they've canceled the mission, and Dante done snaps. That was my dog. Dante snaps, but the WSB kind of wants that to happen for some reason, so they give him back the mission, and while we don't see who the doctor is talking to, the WSB seems to want Dante to snap and kill someone he's close to for some reason. So I'm a little bit nervous that the person that he might kill might be Olivia, because we're getting so many scenes with her and she's pretty much been backburned since like 2013. I hope that I'm wrong. I'd be down if it was Lulu. I'm just saying. I mean, that's who it is in the dream, so I mean, why mess with that? Alright, I suppose I should get into the Ava and Nicholas and Franco and Elizabeth shenanigans, but before I do, can I just say that we got some interesting scenes of Bobby and Scott this week. Bobby broke up with Scott. Did y'all know they were together? Because I didn't know they were together. I think we saw like one scene last year where Bobby agreed to go out on a date with him, and we haven't seen them together ever since. But now they're broken up. That was super left field, but whatever. I did appreciate seeing Bobby firing on all cylinders, being sarcastic and ripping Scotty a new one by tipping the waiter far more than he probably deserved. I loved it. I lived for it. On Scotty's dime, by the way. That's why I loved it. That's what you get for being distracted on a date with her, Scotty. And the reason why Scotty was so distracted is because he is blackmailing Ava and Nicholas with those pictures. Both of them, and Franco and Elizabeth were in on it. Did I not call it a few weeks ago? I totally called it. I totally called it. Franco and Elizabeth just wanted a little bit of revenge on them, you know, take a bit of their money because they're struggling with their own bills, and I mean, really, they felt used and abused by people that are supposed to be their friends. But Scott actually blackmailed them for far more money than Elizabeth expected. Franco was like, hell yeah, dude! And Elizabeth is like, excuse me? Elizabeth, I guess you don't know the man that you married as much as you thought you did, huh? Bad timing too, given that Nicholas and Ava are actually developing feelings for each other and probably don't want the marriage to end anyway. So they are scrambling far more than they actually needed to. Alright, now before I let you guys go, I just want to announce that there will be a brand new GHMV Reacts this Wednesday. Now, just a reminder, this is not going to be the same as when GH was off the air and I was watching, you know, between 30 minutes to an hour's worth of videos every week. I mean, I am back at work now. There is GHMV the after show every Sunday, so I don't have a whole lot of time to just watch classic GH all the time. So I know that some of you have like mile-long lists that you guys want me to watch. I can only get to 1 or 2 suggestions every week, and I want to get to as many people's suggestions as much as possible. And like I said, I do want to get to everyone. I don't want to just cater to 1 or 2 people. The goal is to get to as many of you as possible in a short amount of time. So I hope that you still enjoy me reacting to classic episodes, because I do love watching them. I just don't have as much time as I used to when, you know, the world was shut down and I had no job to go to. But yeah, I hope you liked this video. If you like this video, give it a big old thumbs up, subscribe if you want to, and I will catch you guys this Wednesday. Peace out.
Let me hold it down.